We have an update in the Karl Jobst lawsuit situation or the drama between Karl Jobst and Billy Mitchell. And 16 hours ago, Billy Mitchell put out a video called A Statement from Billy Mitchell, Karl Jobst, Part 1 of 2. And my goodness, does he, if you thought Karl Jobst was looking bad before, oh boy, I only watched probably 4 or 5 minutes of this, and I'm like, I got to react to this on stream. This is crazy.
I originally didn't plan to create a video relating to Karl Jobst. I felt the judgment spoke for itself. However, after Karl Jobst' response video and a few other statements by him, I feel compelled to speak. I also feel that this video provides a good opportunity to correct a few past claims by Karl Jobst. But first, Ricky's world famous sauce is running a sale.
I love how he's like, hey, before I get into it, I need to pedal my hot sauce. I can guarantee Keto Casino is definitely going to be reacting to this. This is that he roasts Karl Jobst like crazy here.
Get 10% off all sauces at rickysauce.com
For what
using
code?
the discount
What's
code,
the code?
Karl Lost at the checkout. If you missed the recent special edition Dragon Sauce sale, stay tuned because bottles number 1, 22, 117, and 256 will appear on eBay soon. We call them the 4 kill screen bottles. Also, watch the new film from the creators of The King of Kong featuring me, Steve Wiebe, and Walter Day titled Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. That information is available at arcadesandlovesongs.com.
What the hell? Anyway, that's like the stuff he peddles right at the beginning is so perfect, like so on brand for what this is.
Firstly, Mr. Jobs claimed that he couldn't disclose the subject of the lawsuit to his viewers is false. This is because the claim, which is the document that I filed in court to sue Mr. Jobs, in which I clearly set out why I was suing him, is a matter of public record. This means anyone in the world can go down to the court and ask for a copy, and the court has to supply that document to them. I essentially published that document to the world at large, and as such, I could not possibly claim that Mr. Jobs or anyone else had defamed me if, for example, they sent a copy to their fans so they could understand the dispute and know what it was about. He also could have done this by acknowledging what he said was false and given a genuine apology. Australian law clearly states that an apology is not an admission of guilt. In a 2019 case, the Supreme Court of Queensland stated at paragraph 17, the fact that the defendant wished to contest that their publication conveyed the defamatory meanings contended for by the Wagners was not a good reason to continue to refuse to issue a public correction, retraction, or apology. The law has long recognized that a defendant may formulate such a statement while not admitting that the meanings were in fact conveyed.
So he's saying that it sounds to me like he just wanted Karl to apologize to him. And Karl's like, no, F you. Allegedly.
Secondly, Mr. Jobs' defense that his GoFundMe campaign intended to crowdfund for a second potential lawsuit, but redirected the funds to the existing lawsuit.
Should I put it at 1.5? He does speak pretty slowly. Let's try 1.5.
After the second lawsuit never materialized is bullshit. I say this based upon 3 facts relating to Mr. Jobs' financial situation at the time of his GoFundMe campaign and the timing of his GoFundMe campaign. To start, I'll state these 3 facts and then place them into context for everybody. 1, Notch, the creator of Minecraft, funded the early and late stages of Mr. Jobs' legal defense, but he did not fund Mr. Jobs for a time in the middle of the case. Here's the clip of Mr. Jobs himself explaining how this happened.
But good, I had some good news recently.
Shout out to Camelot, by the way.
They haven't gotten the money yet. But right at the beginning of the lawsuit, right, Notch, the creator of Minecraft, he said he made a tweet saying, "Hey, Karl, I'm going to pay your legal bills. I'll pay all your legal bills." And I'm like, hell yeah, that's awesome. And then I messaged him and I'm like, are you sure about that, man? You sure you want to pay my legal bills? He's like, yep, I want to go through with it. So he got me in contact with his manager. And then she started paying my legal bills. And like 3 months in, the manager's like, we want to stop supporting you.
That I heard differently. I heard that Notch wanted to pursue something and Karl didn't agree, so they went their separate ways. So now I'm hearing a different story here from Karl, and I'm not sure which one to believe now.
For context, the lawsuit started in September 2021. 2, Mr. Jobs exhausted the money that Notch gave him in or about May of 2022. And he then offered to settle the case. Mr. Jobs said this himself on October 9th, 2024, in the comment sections of a YouTube video. I'll read the relevant parts. In May 2022, I made a settlement offer. Originally, when I made the offer, I had spent nothing because Notch was paying. As you can see here, this isn't me acting as if I know Mr. Jobs' legal bills. These are his words. 3, 6 months of silence passed between Mr. Jobs receiving the correspondence concerning a potential second lawsuit and then him opening his GoFundMe campaign. Now I'm going to place these 3 facts into the overall context. On May 10th, 2022, Mr. Jobs published a video about me that led my lawyers to send a concern notice to his lawyers. On May 22nd, 2022, Mr. Jobs and I were scheduled for mandatory mediation in the already existing lawsuit, one and only lawsuit. Before the mediation, my lawyers emailed his lawyers a copy of a legal complaint related to the concerns notice, and my lawyers said that I would proceed with the complaint unless the current lawsuit resolved at the mediation. The current lawsuit did not resolve, but I chose not to begin a second lawsuit, even though my lawyers felt that the second claim was meritorious.
So this is where it got a little bit convoluted, because I feel that Karl, and just from the videos and how he spoke about the situation, that Billy was suing him on multiple fronts. And maybe that's on me for misunderstanding it, but I wasn't the only one that felt that way. So if there's a whole bunch of people that think one thing, it might be because of how you're delivering the information to people.
No further developments occurred after May 22nd relating to that concerns notice and the complaint emailed to Mr. Jobs' lawyer. The complaint was not filed. The complaint was not served. My lawyers did not email Mr. Jobs' lawyers after the mediation to request that he accepted service of a second lawsuit. It was complete silence.
Wow.
And as I showed earlier, at this time, May 22nd, 2022, the funds that Mr. Notch gave to Mr. Jobs ran dry. In July of 2022, Mr. Jobs submitted an application to the court of what effectively amounted as a Hail Mary attempt to dismiss the lawsuit. That didn't pan out for him. For the sake of brevity, I'll continue on, but I'll leave an explanation of that application.
Yeah, I didn't even know that even happened. I didn't know he tried to dismiss the lawsuit. Makes sense. But again, I keep going back to the whole Notch thing. I was under the impression that Notch was going to be funding the entire thing until Karl decided to go a different direction at some point, and that's when they parted ways. But apparently, again, that's not what happened here. And I'm very confused. But
Application in the description of the video. By the time Mr.
yeah,
Jobs
exactly, Agent 125. I'm very confused about the Notch thing. I'm very confused.
had lost his financial backing from Notch, Notch's money was exhausted. He had failed to dismiss the case. He needed money, and he needed money now. But he knew his viewers may not open wallets if he was transparent about the true subject of the lawsuit. Here's what he does. On November 4th, 2020.
This, by the way, people are not idiots. And I personally feel like Karl was trying to pull it over on people. And it didn't work. It didn't work.
22, he reaches back 6 months to May of 2022, pulls out an old legal correspondent that never received follow-up, and he creates a GoFundMe campaign on the premise that he urgently needs financial support for a potential second lawsuit. Karl, I do not accept the fact that you generally woke up 6 months after the last correspondence and also after your financial support ran out from Notch, and you suddenly felt a need to crowdfund for a potential second lawsuit. You obviously knew the second lawsuit was not coming. Or at the very
So he actively deceived people. Like, there's no way. That was the frustrating part. Like, his GoFundMe was still up. I should probably check if it's still up right now. But it clearly made it sound like the lawsuit was to go against Billy and protect himself because Billy's a cheater. And that's what the money was being used for. Nowhere in any of this stuff did I get it from he was saying that Billy Mitchell was the cause of someone dying. Like, yikes, bro. No, what? And ultimately, I could be wrong about this as well, but it sounds to me like Billy Mitchell was actually trying to be like, bro, just admit you're wrong, take the L, and move on from this. And Karl couldn't do that. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Very least, you were unsure if it ever was. You created a GoFundMe campaign with the knowledge and intent to fund the existing lawsuit on false premises. Period. End of paragraph.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. That's I'm not alone when I say that's what I got out of it. That's literally the entire community general sentiment feels that way about this.
With that said, I feel it is important to address Mr. Jobs' principal argument against all this. His argument is that he opened the GoFundMe campaign because my lawyers told him that I provided instructions to commence a second lawsuit. His position is, if Billy lawyers said so, then why should I not believe them? Here's the clip of him saying that.
Then in 2022, Billy sent me a third concerns notice because of a video I released in April regarding one of Billy's witnesses accusing him of extortion. And he followed that up with another lawsuit, of which he sent to my lawyers and told them he was going to file it against me. And then he sent me a fourth concerns notice saying he intended to sue me because I put a 10-second AVGN meme in a video completely unrelated to Billy. Billy was now threatening me with 3 simultaneous lawsuits. The first one had already cost $200,000 in the first year alone. So if Billy filed these second and third lawsuits, there was no way I could afford to defend myself.
Here's the problem. Mr. Jobs testified under oath at trial, quote, "I don't believe anything Billy Mitchell says," end of quote. So apparently the only time Mr. Jobs ever believes me is after 6 months pass without follow-up, and he stands to gain $200,000 from his audience. In my opinion, the irony of Mr. Jobs' behavior here is that this misleading and disingenuous behavior is the exact type of behavior that he attacks people for in his videos. And the harsh reality is he uses these tactics on most subject matters, not just this one. Based upon Mr. Jobs' I lost video, it appears that he plans to dispute the factual findings of the judgment. And based upon his Discord messages,
I don't think he is. I think the time to dispute it has passed, by the way. So I don't think he can dispute it currently. I think that's, unless I missed something.
it appears that he's planning a broader revenge campaign against not only me, but my family, my hot sauce company. Here's what I'll say of that with the information available to me today. It's very easy for a YouTuber to create a self-serving video with an unopposed narrative shaped by them. It is not easy to present those arguments in a court of law where the other side can argue back and win. Remember, Mr. Jobs already received his opportunity to argue anything and everything that he claimed in his I lost video or may claim in a future video. Remember that despite all these allegations that he hurls with inflammatory languages, it is ultimately him who the court found to not be a credible witness. Let's review an example of this in his I lost video. He says this.
I will say one thing, though. The judge found Billy Mitchell to be a credible witness and essentially accepted his full oral testimony as fact, despite our many attempts to show that Billy is a liar. For example, we have Billy on video in 2023 during his Twin Galaxies deposition saying that the effect I've had on him is minimal.
Did the actions that Karl Jobst and David Race and Jeremy Young and Jeff Harris take also cause you emotional distress?
That is minimal compared to this.
Which, by the way, when Karl Jobst played that clip, I'm curious to see what Billy says about that here, because I was like, that's pretty damning against Billy, admitting that this is not affecting me. And then it's like a defamation case. So what's Billy say here? That he's like, that's probably unrelated to what he was suing him for. I bet that's what he's going to say.
At that moment in my deposition, I was discussing the allegations related to video games, not Apollo Legend.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. So Karl pulled an Alyssa, cut him out of context, said it was for one thing, and then played what he said and been like, yep. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is so disingenuous. Holy shit. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Like, bro. Everyone in the chat's just like, I can't believe Karl is making me root for Billy right now.
The questioner listed a series of individuals in lawsuits with me that all related to video games in one way or another, either in the complaint, in the defense, or as a broader background text. all while sitting in a deposition for a Twin Galaxies lawsuit. Then, when the questioner asked why, I said, because this is where it all began. Because my answer related specifically to Twin Galaxies and video games. Mr. Jobs will likely respond by playing a segment of my deposition. I'll play it here and then discuss.
What about Karl Jobst? Why are you suing him?
Karl Jobst has nothing to do with video games. He's being sued because he's blaming the death of an individual, Apollo Legend, on me.
Are you suing him for defamation for making that claim?
Has nothing to do with video games.
These two clips of my deposition were two entirely different lines of questioning that occurred hours apart.
Wow.
In the first clip, my answer related to multiple individuals across lawsuits connected to video games in one way or another, including Mr. Jobs, but not only Mr. Jobs. In the second clip, my answers concern specifically Mr. Jobs and the amputations in my complaint against him. Context is everything. What does Mr. Jobs not do in his I Lost video? He doesn't present any opposing argument to his narrative. Despite hearing my explanation, my deposition testimony at the trial, and despite reading the judgment's reasoning for accepting my testimony on this issue, he just omits everything and presents his position as fact. This tactic of omitting inconvenient information to his desired narrative is common in Mr. Jobs' videos generally.
AKA lying by omission.
Not just the videos about me, all of his videos. Here's an example from his I Lost video.
To be clear, though, I never said Billy caused Apollo's suicide, nor have I ever believed that. No one is responsible for Apollo's decision other than Apollo.
That is a very clear statement from Karl there. He never believed that anyone was responsible for Apollo's decision except Apollo. Well, let me show you in an exchange that occurred between my barrister and Mr. Jobs while he was on the witness stand at trial. Here, Mr. Jobs is saying to the court, to the judge, that he did in fact believe that I was a factor in Apollo Legends' decisions. And before you ask, yes, Mr. Jobs said this while under oath. You can make up your own mind, but it appears to me that Karl either lied directly to his fans about this, or he lied to the court under oath.
Wow.
Third example. When I settled my lawsuit with Twin Galaxies in January 2024, Twin Galaxies and Mr. Jobs
This is,
jointly
guys,
settled.
this is like a beating right now. Like damn. And the craziest part about all this, Billy Mitchell isn't even a YouTuber. He's just like a dude that plays video games. And he is absolutely just full on 100% chaotic destruction against Karl Jobst right now. Wow. Wow.
Related a claim that I remained banned from Twin Galaxies competition. That is a lie. Here is the relevant clause to the settlement agreement with Twin Galaxies. Twin Galaxies will work to include any future score submissions by Mitchell to Twin Galaxies leaderboard, with such submissions having to go through the normal Twin Galaxies adjudication process. So what Twin Galaxies and Mr. Jobs claimed was that even though Twin Galaxies said it would permit future score submissions from me, I remained banned from the Twin Galaxies competition. That just doesn't make any sense. As a result of these claims,
Well, what Karl said was they were creating a separate leaderboard, completely, wholly separate from the original leaderboard, because they were worried about you suing them. So they're like, fine, Billy. This is, again, allegedly based off of what I understood from what Karl said, but now everything's up in question. I don't know if I should even trust anything Karl said now. But the way I understood it was there were two separate leaderboards because Billy threatened to sue if they didn't put his scores back. So instead of putting them back, they created a separate leaderboard, and Billy can submit them, but they can't go to the original one. That's the way I understood the way it was explained from Karl. Let's see.
I filed a motion to enforce settlement agreement on Twin Galaxies on May 30th, 2024. The court ruled in my favor, and the judge directly addressed this claim by Twin Galaxies as false. Here's what the judge said. I think it's a fair assumption that the intention was to at least allow for the possibility of the plaintiff to submit his scores. To me, this implies that he was not banned. In my opinion, the claim that I remained banned from Twin Galaxies competition was a coordinated effort by Mr. Jobs and Twin Galaxies to spread misinformation. These are just very, very dishonest people. But with that said, I will not be submitting any scores to Twin Galaxies because it has no authority. It has no purpose. At this point, Twin Galaxies is only relevant for its history. Today, Twin Galaxies has no physical place of business. It has no office. It has no in-person competition, no employees, no referees, no industry experts. In fact, Twin Galaxies today is one guy with no industry experience that runs a website from his apartment. He stands on nothing but the hard work and achievement of those who came before him and thinks money can buy him credibility. Next, Mr. Jobs and Twin Galaxies stated many times over the years that this photo shows a rule violation on one of my Donkey Kong World Records.
Oh,
because the joystick
the
was red.
joystick is red.
That's not true. The joystick was compliant with the rules. In 2007, there was no written rules for competitive Donkey Kong. However, the general rule for all games was to use the original machine with a manufacturer's hardware or hardware that constitutes a like-for-like exchange. A like-for-like exchange is a functional equivalent. For example, in this case, if a four-way joystick installed by the manufacturer broke, you may install and use a different four-way joystick. That is why the joystick was compliant with the rules. The reason for the rule was that arcade video game manufacturers stopped producing parts in the 1980s. No arcade machine on this earth at that time for any game had each and every part from the manufacturer. Nobody's scores would have been valid for that rule. Nobody's. In fact, even today, Donkey Kong World Records occur with non-original hardware inside the control panel based upon a like-for-like exchange rule, both the joystick and the buttons. Mr. Jobs also levies the claim that the joystick was an 8-way joystick, not a 4-way joystick. I don't think he understands how the arcade machine joysticks work. Any joystick may be any number of ways based upon how it is installed. It doesn't matter who the manufacturer of the joystick is. It doesn't matter what the manual says. It all depends on the restrictor plates inside of the arcade machine, which are not visible from the outside. In this instance, it was a 4-way joystick. On a separate note, if Mr. Jobs' joystick claim was true, then both him and Twin Galaxies would have walked into court, would have shown the photo, and won their case. Instead, neither Mr. Jobs nor Twin Galaxies ever attempted to use this photo at any point in the trial or even in preparation. Despite the claim from Mr. Jobs that this photo was some kind of a smoking gun, his decision not to use it speaks volumes.
Wow.
Even in his I lost video, Karl makes a claim that I'm a proven cheater, and that I've seen commentary from around the internet for years now where people claim that there's no doubt. It's obvious. It's been proved. Well, I ask you to consider this. Twin Galaxies had the opportunity to prove in court that I cheated. It couldn't. Karl Jobst, who was told by a billionaire Notch that he'd pay for the best legal representation possible, did not even try to prove that I cheated. If it's obvious, that's certain, so easily provable, why does the claim suddenly fall apart as soon as it's taken out of the court of public opinion and into the actual court of law, where I have the right to reply and where real evidence is given by real people who swear under oath to tell the truth? And regardless, Twin Galaxies, what kind of defendant spends hundreds of thousands of dollars, even over $1 million according to his lawyer, litigating a case for 4 years to settle 3 months before trial? A defendant that expects to lose. Lastly, I recently learned that Mr. Jobs plans to engage in a revenge campaign on YouTube by creating videos about me, my family, and my hot sauce company.
I mean, damn, this video is fire. Like, holy shit. If Karl was trying to resurrect his YouTube career, Billy is just making sure that he stomps on it again one more time here. Like, damn, exactly, Batman. Fire like his hot sauce. Holy shit.
Imagine that, my family. It seems that the discount code Karl lost deeply bothers him. On May 5th, 2025, at 3:02 a.m., Mr. Jobs wrote on Discord, there are 2 videos that need to be made. One talking about the hot sauce company, one talking about how Billy needs to stand on things to make himself look taller in photos. Karl, I'm 6'6". I don't need to do anything to look taller. I've taken thousands of photos of different types with fans since 1982. Some very serious, some nothing but fun. Meanwhile, you're 5'7".
Oh, God. Oh my God. This is priceless. Kata moment.
Co-parter.
Co-parter.
Try not to stretch the truth. As for Mr. Jobs' plan to attack my hot sauce company, I don't know what he could possibly claim. I'm interested to know what could possibly lead Mr. Jobs to...
By the way, hold up. I'm pretty much 5'8", okay? But I'm not the one throwing stones saying that Billy needs to stand on a box, okay? I would never do that. So don't be bringing my height in here. I don't height shame people.
believe that he knows the financials or the operational framework of a private company. It reminds me of a time where he claimed to know the terms of a confidential settlement agreement back in 2021. Of course, that's why we're all here. That's all for today, but don't forget to buy Ricky's world famous sauce, 10% off at rickysauce.com using the discount code KarlLost at the checkout. Thank you for watching to the end.
Wow. That was definitely something. Holy. Billy should make a YouTube channel if he doesn't already. You could tell a lot of work went into that. Like, he scripted that whole thing out, organized his thoughts, ordered the events, put everything together, overlaid video, showed the evidence. For a guy that's not a YouTuber, like, damn, bro, that was impressive. Absolutely impressive. I don't know how Karl comes back from this, guys. Like, I don't. Like, I want to have hope for everyone out there. I do, but damn, bro. Like, I think what we're seeing right now is he's being exposed as someone who doesn't tell the whole story. And while I like to pride myself on being someone who does, I think it's only natural for humans to only show the side that they want to be out there, because they want people to feel like they want to be raised up by people, and they want the core public opinion to love them. I get that. But at the same time, I keep relating this situation to my situation, and I am like grasping at straws. I'm like, what the hell is the other side of things? You don't like mean words being said? That's the other angle? What? Like, I'm so confused by that. True North says, I want to hear part 2. Oh, we definitely will hear part 2. We definitely will hear part 2. That is part 1 of 2 that was released 17 hours ago. The part 2 of 2 is not out yet, but I will definitely be covering it when it does come out, because damn, that was definitely something.